Gary.
I was like that already. He wouldn't push in, so I pushed in.
What a way to start.
He didn't want as much headroom.
Jerry's all about single and push in. You know, that's.
Is that okay, Pete? Is that
your part? You guys look great, but we're starting. This is a great way to start the live stream. We can show people
time.
We can show people. No, people love to see how the sausage is made. That's what they're seeing here.
All right.
PTF back with you in the Money Media. First Racing, NBC Sports is going to be covering these 3 stakes. We've got implications for the Triple Crown Trail, especially the Kentucky Derby coming up. I'm so happy to have these guys with us. Jerry, let's talk about the Holy Bull. What do you see as the main storyline of interest heading into this Kentucky Derby trial on Saturday?
Brad Cox and Todd Pletcher. What else is new with 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds heading to the Derby? It's generally those two on the East Coast. Maybe Steve Asmussen, here and there, but these are the 2 guys in Florida that you have to beat to win races down here. That's it.
Yeah, and in this case, Pete, it's what we've come to see in the last 10 years or so. I mean, way back in the day, horses that just come off a maiden race in the end of January, people would say, "Oh, no, there's no way they could be ready for the Kentucky Derby," but that's no longer the case. So we have to look at these horses, even though they're very inexperienced, as potentially legitimate Derby horses.
We should point out for people who are looking at their past performances, the race as it is on paper, not exactly the one we're going to see come Saturday. We know that that Butane will not be participating in this race. Is that part of the reason, Jerry, why you're eyeing those 2 trainers to the degree that you are, especially with the way the pace situation is changing now?
I didn't have Butane beating those 2 anyway. So to me, it's immaterial whether he runs in this race or not. And there's a horse on the bottom game for it. Same goes for him. I mean, he wasn't going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 in my selection. So for me, Butane being out had no bearing on what I was going to say or say now.
I was just thinking, while I didn't like either of them, I feel like it does make Cannoneer's job easier. I was originally trying to get a little bit cute. He looks to me, just in traditional handicapping terms, maybe like he holds the cards now. Randy, you're a pace-oriented handicapper. How much do you move him up in light of the defections?
Butane would have been a pace factor. Bob Baffert's always a pace factor, but I didn't really look at it as being that big of an extra advantage for Cannoneer. But look, he's a very, very talented horse, as we saw from his debut at Churchill, and we don't even know how much speed Nearly has really, because in his last race he was wiped out at the start.
Right.
And he still rushes up and is within just 2 or 3 lengths of the lead before you know it. So it should be a pretty legitimately run race, I think.
Who do you give the edge to, Jerry, between the contenders you've already put up as the ones to focus on?
I guess I would give it to Nearly. He's got an outside post. He's already overcome some adversity, as Randy mentioned. He got banged pretty good leaving the gate last time. It didn't seem to affect him at all. It cost him about 2 or 3 lengths, I thought, before he got back into full stride, and yet he still won easily. So I think, given a clean start, he's going to be where John Velasquez wants him in terms of closeness to Cannoneer.
And Pete, there's another horse in here that's coming off a maiden win, and he won't be played as heavily. He's not as sexy because it's not Brad Cox and Todd Pletcher, but Global Aviator, owned and trained by Rohan Crichton. When he broke his maiden at Gulfstream Park a few days after Thanksgiving, boy, was he nice. I mean, the number, it was an 85 buyer speed figure, okay? And really, if we could do it, we would put a question mark by that number because it was the only dirt sprint on the entire card. It was really just an educated guess. It could be faster than that. And he overcame a really slow start. He rushed up.
Circle the field.
Yeah, he was immediately last at the start, and then he rushes up, and he winds up going 4 wide around the turn, and he keeps going for a last quarter in 24-2 and gets up to win anyway. So there's no telling how good Global Aviator is.
I need to ask you about Incredibolt. What do you expect that we're going to see from him? He's got that form under the Twin Spires. You might be able to intuit from his last name that he's probably not a trainer who's going to be bringing them back fully formed, as opposed to having this be a stepping stone. But he's shown some real talent, and I think he deserves some discussion at least.
Yeah, look at Riley Mott trains him. He won the street sense. He's well seasoned. He took the worst of it in the street sense, coming from last, kind of got away flat-footed, got hung 3 wide on both turns, and yet he still was quite impressive winning at Churchill Downs. Now, last year, if you remember, Sovereignty won the street sense. It came back here, and you saw what he did. So Incredibolt is the one quality horse, I think, that would benefit most from a pace. I won't say meltdown, but a quick pace early. He's certainly going to be there to pick up the pieces, and he's had enough experience.
So anybody that uses the buyers for handicapping, I'm going to give you my opinion about Incredibolt. I think with the rail draw and being 3 wide on both turns in his last race and behind a slow pace in his last race, I think you can expect about a 91 or a 92 buyer in this spot out of Incredibolt. Now, is that going to be good enough? To me, that's really the question about him.
If I hold your feet to the fire, Randy, and make you answer it and give us your selection, as it were, in here, maybe we have a minute at least to talk about some of these other stakes.
Well, it's a toss-up. Jerry's already picked Nearly, so that means I have to pick Cannoneer.
I like it. Incredible. Maybe a hard closing one to get somewhere in the mix. A horse I'm very interested in going forward, but it's going to be hard with those defections, I think, especially for him to beat those other 2 that you guys mentioned. We do have time for just a quick thought on the other stakes races. They'll be on NBC as well. Why don't we go back to the Grade 3 Florida Forward Gal happening in Florida on Saturday? Randy, do you have a particularly strong opinion on this one?
I think just like the Holy Bull, I think it really comes down to 2 horses on paper, Mythical and On Time Girl. And now you get Jorge Delgado and Brad Cox. Mythical, has done absolutely nothing wrong, lost 1 time in her life, and that was in the spin-away when she was involved in a pretty hot speed duel at Saratoga. And On Time Girl stepped up big time in her last race to win a race called the Fern Creek at Churchill Downs. It was only about 1/5 of a second slower than Boyd won earlier on the card in the Colt race called the Ed Brown. So it was a fast race for On Time Girl. I would probably give the edge to Mythical just because she's run that fast more than once, and On Time Girl hasn't. Also, there's going to be a pretty quick pace in here, and Mythical has shown race before last that she can sit just a little bit off the pace if necessary.
Jerry, how do you see it?
It's pretty much the same way. If you want to throw in a horse it's already won 2 stakes, it's Tessellate. I don't like her draw all that much, but Safi Joseph, as you well know from last weekend, is rolling here at Gulfstream Park. And she's, like I said, she won by 13 in a sprint race. The only time she really kind of weakened was going to mile. So she's turned back in her last 2, been very effective, and she would benefit also from a very hot pace.
The meat in the sandwich, as it were, of our graded stakes races on Saturday. Also on Jerry, who's your idea of the winner in that one?
To me, Sister Train stands out. Trained by Brian Lynch. Every race seems like a replay of her previous race. She breaks pretty good. She gets 3 or 4 or 5 lengths off the lead. She moves out down the backside, circles the field, makes the lead by the 8th pole, and draws away. She seems to do that every single time, and her numbers are slightly better than anybody else. So to me, she gets a good trip, and she's the fastest of the group.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't have much to beat in here. She really doesn't. This field's not any tougher than the fields that she's been beating consistently. I was prepared to go in a big way for Spirit Doll, but she's not running. She drew the far outside post. That's not why she's running, but Safi Joseph is going to scratch her. So that leaves Sister Troy probably 3 to 5, and it's going to be tough to beat her. For exotics, I would use Storm's Wake and Aggressive Line underneath her. But I think I agree with Jerry. Sister Troyan's in a really good spot here.
So do we know the details in terms of the when that the NBC broadcast will be, or do folks just know that those 3 races are going to be on? So make sure you're watching at about 4:45 Eastern.
4:30 to 6 on Peacock.
There you go. Easy peasy. Make sure you download that app if you don't have it already. Lots of great NBC sports coverage, which is something you're going to need with the Olympics coming up. And are you guys pumped to be on site? You're going to be there in person for this one, right?
I am. Are you kidding? I don't have to leave my 20-mile radius here.
And the only reason we're here is because, Pete, the studio that we would normally be in Stamford, Connecticut, NBC Sports headquarters, is being retooled for the Olympics. So rather than have us sitting in a studio with a bunch of Olympic rings all around us doing the Holy Bull, palm trees are a lot better.
I love it. Great Saturday of racing at Gulfstream. Catch it on NBC. Check out all we have to offer at In the Money Media. Thanks to everybody watching this live, watching on demand, and have a fantastic day. And we can't wait to see you guys on TV.